Imagine this. You walk into a room, people are talking, arguing, competing for attention. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to be right. And in the middle of it all, there's one person who says nothing. No reaction. No rush to defend themselves. Just calm, still, centered. And yet, everyone notices them. Why? Because silence, real, grounded, intentional silence, is magnetic. It's unsettling. It's powerful. Most people think power comes from having the last word, the loudest opinion, or the biggest presence in the room. But the truth? Power often comes from what you don't say. It comes from restraint, from the ability to stay composed when everyone else is losing control. Think about the moments when you lost your cool, when anger, fear, or frustration took over. Did your reaction ever make the situation better? Probably not, because reacting is easy. Staying silent, that takes strength. See, silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of control. It's the ability to sit in discomfort without breaking. It's knowing that not every action deserves your reaction. That you can let the storm rage around you and still choose peace. When you master silence, you don't just change how you communicate, you change how you live. You stop letting people pull you into their chaos. You stop being a puppet of your emotions. And suddenly you become untouchable. So today, we're going to talk about what that really means, how to emotionally detach, stay calm, and use silence as your greatest weapon. Because silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's self-mastery. It's the difference between reacting and leading. Let's start with the truth no one tells you. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers, if you're strong enough to listen. We live in a world that rewards noise. The loudest voice in the room often gets the attention, the argument, the deal. We're told to speak up, to defend ourselves, to never stay silent. But what if I told you that real strength doesn't come from how loud you can be, it comes from how calm you can remain? Stillness is not passivity. It's not apathy, it's control. It's the ability to be fully aware, to observe, to understand, before you act. Silence gives you the gift of space. Space to think, to assess, to decide. And in that space, power is born. Because power doesn't live in chaos. It lives in clarity. When you stay silent, people reveal themselves to you. They show you their insecurities, their intentions, their truth. In conflict, silence is your mirror. It reflects everything back to the other person. When someone argues, they expect resistance. They expect you to fight back. The moment you stay calm, you take away their control. You disarm them. Your stillness becomes their discomfort, because silence forces people to face themselves. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone lose control in an argument? Their voice rises, their face tightens, they throw words like weapons. Now picture someone who stands firm, still, unshaken, who lets the storm blow and doesn't flinch. Which one do you remember? Which one do you respect? The calm one. Every time. Because that person's silence says you can't touch me. Silence is presence. It's the weight of composure. The kind of energy that says, I'm not here to prove myself. I already know who I am. That's why silence intimidates people. It's why those who can't control themselves fear those who can. The louder someone becomes, the more they're revealing their lack of control. The quieter you become, the more you reveal your strength. But this isn't about staying silent because you're afraid to speak. It's about choosing when to speak, making your words carry weight. When you talk less, people listen more because you've trained them to understand that when you speak, it means something. The person who talks constantly loses power. The person who observes gains it. There's a quote I once heard, "Don't speak unless you can improve upon the silence." That's the mindset of someone in control. Silence gives you time to think, to process, to ensure that when you do speak, you're not reacting, you're responding with purpose. In high-pressure situations, negotiations, confrontations, even personal relationships. Silence is your greatest tactical advantage. When you don't rush to fill the gaps, you create psychological tension. People start to over-explain, justify, and reveal more than they intended. You get insight they didn't mean to give, because most people are uncomfortable with silence. They need to fill it to feel in control. But when you're comfortable in that quiet, you own the space. Let me give you a picture. Imagine being in a meeting, and someone challenges your idea. Everyone's eyes shift toward you, waiting for your reaction. Most people would defend, argue, push back. But you pause, you look, you breathe, you let the silence sit. That silence, that brief pause, speaks louder than any words could. It tells everyone in that room, I'm not threatened, I'm thinking. It shifts the energy entirely. That's what power looks like. It's not loud, it's measured. It's not reactive, it's deliberate. And the moment you master stillness, you realize how rare it truly is. Because most people live at the mercy of their emotions. Their reactions are instant, their words impulsive. But the one who can hold still under pressure, that's the one everyone looks to when things fall apart. Stillness is the foundation of leadership. You can't lead when you're emotionally chaotic. You can't see clearly when you're consumed by noise. But when you train yourself to stay centered, to not take the bait, to not match someone's chaos with your own, that's when you begin to lead from a higher plane. Think about soldiers, first responders, or negotiators in critical moments. They are trained to be calm when everyone else is panicking. Why? Because silence and stillness are what allow them to see what others miss, to think clearly, to make the right call. It's not a gift, it's discipline, it's emotional control. Practiced over and over again, until it becomes instinct. The truth is, most of the battles you face won't be with other people. They'll be within yourself, your urge to react, to defend, to prove. Silence teaches you to win those battles, to understand that reacting only gives your power away. When you stop reacting, you stop bleeding energy, you stop letting people control how you feel. And when no one can control how you feel, no one can control you. There's also a deeper side to stillness. It reconnects you to yourself. When you strip away all the noise, the opinions, the criticism, the distractions, you hear your own voice again. Silence becomes your mirror, your reset, your truth. You start to see what actually matters and what doesn't. You stop being driven by ego and start being guided by purpose. And the beautiful part is you don't have to announce your power. You don't have to prove your peace. People will feel it. In your tone, your eyes, your body language. There's a certain calmness that radiates from someone who doesn't need to explain themselves. And that calmness, that quiet confidence, commands more respect than any speech ever could. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. The next time someone tries to drag you into drama, stay still. The next time you feel the urge to explain, defend, or prove yourself, choose silence. Because silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to know that your energy is too valuable to waste. Remember this. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the most powerful thing possible. Choosing peace when chaos is an option. And in that choice, you show the world that your emotions don't own you. Because the strongest person in the room isn't the one who speaks first, shouts loudest, or wins the argument. It's the one who can stay still, steady, and centered while everyone else burns out trying to be heard. That's real strength. That's real power. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself because it's already felt. There comes a point in your life when you realize that peace is not about what's happening around you, it's about what's happening inside you. The world will always be noisy. People will project their fears, their frustrations, their insecurities onto you. They'll test your patience, your boundaries, your self-worth. But the moment you stop absorbing that energy, the moment you stop letting their chaos become your chaos, you become free. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring intelligently. It's not about building walls, it's about building filters. You can be compassionate without being consumed. You can understand someone's pain without drowning in it. You can stand in the middle of someone else's storm and not get swept away by the wind. People often mistake emotional detachment for coldness. They say you've changed or you don't care anymore. But the truth is, you're just protecting your peace. You're refusing to hand over your emotional control to people who haven't earned it. Because when you absorb everyone's chaos, you lose your clarity. You start reacting to emotions that aren't even yours. You become a reflection of other people's instability instead of your own calm center. You have to understand this. Not everything deserves an emotional response. Not every comment, not every criticism, not every act of disrespect needs your energy. Sometimes silence, distance, or indifference is the most powerful reply you can give. Because when you stay detached, you stay in control. When you let go of the need to react, you gain the power to choose. Imagine walking through your day like a calm lake. People throw stones, insults, stress, expectations, but you choose whether to ripple or stay still. Most people let every pebble disturb their surface. They get angry at a rude driver, anxious over a message, hurt by a tone of voice. They give their peace away in fragments until there's nothing left. Emotional detachment is about keeping your surface smooth. It's about saying, you don't get to control my mood just because you lost control of yours. Let's be honest, emotional detachment takes training. It doesn't happen overnight. It's something you build through self-awareness and repetition. You start by observing your reactions. The next time someone irritates you, pause and ask yourself, why am I reacting? What am I actually defending? Most of the time, it's not even about the situation. It's about pride, ego, or old wounds being triggered. When you see that clearly, you stop letting others dictate your emotions. There's a subtle kind of power in not reacting. When someone tries to provoke you and you don't bite, you strip them of control. You make them face their own behavior. That's emotional discipline. That's what emotional detachment gives you. The ability to stay calm when you have every reason not to be. And that calmness is what separates the powerful from the powerless. You'll notice that emotionally detached people don't rush to explain themselves. They don't chase validation. They know that not every misunderstanding deserves correction. Because the moment you start defending your peace to someone who's committed to misunderstanding you, you've already lost it. Detachment means knowing that your energy is sacred and you don't need to spend it proving anything. Think about the people in your life who always seem to bring chaos. They thrive on reactions. They feed on emotional responses. The best way to disarm that energy is not to fight it, it's to rise above it. When you stop giving them the reaction they're looking for, you starve their power. Eventually they'll move on to someone else because your silence and calm make them uncomfortable. But emotional detachment isn't only about protecting yourself from others. It's also about mastering yourself. It's about recognizing when your emotions start to take control and learning how to center again. That's where the real work happens. You train yourself to pause before responding, to breathe before speaking, to reflect before deciding. You start choosing peace, not as a weakness but as a weapon. You begin to realize that emotions are like waves. They rise, they crash, and they pass. If you try to fight them, you drown. If you ride them calmly, you stay afloat. Detachment gives you that perspective. It lets you observe your emotions instead of being ruled by them. You can feel anger without becoming anger. You can feel sadness without being consumed by it. You acknowledge your emotions, but you don't let them drive your actions. One of the most powerful things you can do for your own growth is to stop taking things personally. People act based on who they are, not who you are. Their reactions, their words, their judgments, they're a reflection of their own inner world. When you internalize that truth, you stop letting other people's behavior control your peace. Someone snaps at you, it's not about you, it's about the storm they're carrying. You just happen to be standing close enough to get rained on. The key is to learn to walk through the storm without absorbing it. That's emotional maturity. You don't have to mirror the energy that's given to you. You can be surrounded by anger and still choose peace. You can be surrounded by fear and still choose strength. You can be surrounded by negativity and still choose light. Detachment gives you the ability to choose who you want to be in every moment, regardless of what's happening around you. And here's the paradox. When you detach emotionally, you actually connect more deeply because you stop reacting from ego and start responding from clarity. You can listen better, empathize without judgment, and communicate without defensiveness. You're not trying to win, you're trying to understand. And that's what makes your presence grounding for others. This is what emotionally intelligent strength looks like. It's quiet, it's subtle, it's not about shutting people out. It's about not letting their storms enter your home. You can love people and still say no. You can support them without losing yourself. You can care deeply while keeping your peace intact. So start practicing small acts of detachment. When someone criticizes you, pause before defending yourself. When you feel triggered, take a breath before reacting. When chaos surrounds you, remind yourself, this isn't mine to carry. You'll start noticing how much lighter you feel, how much clearer your thoughts become. You'll realize that most of the stress you felt wasn't even yours. It was energy you kept absorbing out of habit. Emotional detachment is emotional freedom. It's choosing peace over participation. It's recognizing that not every battle deserves your presence, and not every opinion deserves your energy. It's the art of walking away, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know your worth. And when you reach that level of calm, when you can stand in the middle of noise and not let it shake your soul, you'll understand what true power feels like. Not the kind that controls others, but the kind that controls itself. That's the power of emotional detachment, the art of staying calm in a world that constantly tries to pull you apart. Because peace is not something you find, it's something you create. And it starts the moment you decide that nothing outside of you has the right to disturb what's inside of you. Calm is not an accident, it's not a personality trait you're born with, or something that just happens when life feels easy. Calm is a discipline. It's a skill you train, a muscle you build, a decision you make over and over again until your body learns that peace is its natural state. We often think calmness is just a mindset, but it runs deeper than that. It's physiological. It's in your nervous system, your heartbeat, your breath. When you get angry, afraid, or stressed, your body shifts into survival mode. Your pulse quickens, your muscles tense, your breathing becomes shallow. You're preparing for battle, even if that battle is just an argument or an uncomfortable moment. The body can't tell the difference between real danger and emotional discomfort. It reacts the same way. The problem is, most people live there, stuck in that state of constant tension, always on edge, always reacting, always preparing for the next threat. That's not living, that's surviving, and it's exhausting. True power comes when you can train your body not to react to every trigger, when you can command your nervous system to obey you, instead of the other way around. You see, your mind can't think clearly when your body is in chaos. When your heart rate spikes, your brain shuts down the part responsible for rational thought. You stop thinking strategically and start acting impulsively. That's why calm people seem so composed. They've trained themselves to stay in control even when things get intense. Their calmness isn't luck, it's self-command. The first step in mastering calm is awareness. You have to notice the moment your body starts to shift, the tightening of your chest, the quickened breath, the tension in your jaw. These are signals that your nervous system is preparing for conflict. The moment you become aware, you gain a window of choice. You can either feed that reaction or rewire it. Start with your breath. It sounds simple, but it's the foundation of control. When your breathing is shallow and fast, your body assumes you're in danger. When you slow it down, deep, controlled, intentional breaths, you're sending a message to your brain. I'm safe. I'm in control. That one shift can change everything. There's a technique used by elite performers, soldiers and negotiators called box breathing. It's simple. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold again for 4. Repeat. Within minutes, your body starts to calm down. Your heart rate drops, your thoughts clear, you reclaim your power from the chaos. Because calmness begins in the body long before it reaches the mind. Another powerful method is to slow your movements. When you move slowly, you're telling your body there's no rush, no emergency. It's a physical reminder that you're in control of time and space. Try it the next time you're under pressure. Walk slower, lower your voice, control your gestures. You'll notice that not only does your body calm down, but people around you begin to mirror your energy. That's how powerful calmness is. It's contagious. Calm doesn't mean you don't feel emotion. It means you don't let emotion dictate your behavior. You can feel anger without lashing out, fear without freezing, sadness without collapsing. You allow the emotion to exist without letting it control your actions. That's mastery, because emotion is just energy moving through the body. It's meant to be felt, not obeyed. When you train your nervous system, you're essentially teaching your body a new language, one that says, I choose peace no matter what. And that language starts to shape how you think, how you speak, and how you lead. You stop overreacting to small things. You stop letting your environment control your inner state. And that steadiness gives you a quiet kind of power that's hard to shake. People often mistake calmness for indifference. But calmness isn't a lack of emotion, it's the height of emotional intelligence. It's the ability to hold intensity without breaking. It's grace under fire. The calm person doesn't deny what's happening. They simply refuse to let the external chaos penetrate their internal world. Think about those moments when everything seems to fall apart. Plans fail, tempers flare, people panic. In that storm, the person who stays calm becomes the anchor. Everyone looks to them. Why? Because calmness equals trust. People trust those who can stay steady when the ground is shaking. They instinctively know that person won't crumble under pressure. That's leadership born out of calm. To build that level of calm, you have to practice it daily. Not just when life tests you, but in small, ordinary moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic. When your phone rings with bad news. When someone's words sting. Each of these moments is a training ground. Every time you choose calm over reaction, you're strengthening that internal muscle. You're teaching your nervous system that it doesn't need to explode every time it's triggered. The more you train calmness, the faster you can return to it. Eventually, it becomes your baseline. Your body remembers it as home. You start noticing that situations that once triggered you no longer have the same effect. You've built an internal shield, not through avoidance, but through awareness and control. And there's another layer to this. Your voice, the way you speak, affects your physiology. When you lower your tone and slow your pace, your body follows. The next time you feel anxious or angry, don't just take a deep breath. Speak softer. You'll feel the shift immediately. Your nervous system takes cues from your behavior. If you act calm, you become calm. We often underestimate how much control we actually have. You can't stop the world from being chaotic, but you can decide how your body responds to it. You can't stop emotions from rising, but you can decide whether they own you or pass through you. That's the essence of training your nervous system, creating enough distance between stimulus and response that you always have a choice. And here's the thing. Calmness doesn't make you less powerful. It amplifies your power. It gives your actions precision. It makes your words cut deeper because they're delivered without desperation. Calm people don't chase outcomes. They influence them. They don't fight for control. They embody it. So start paying attention to your body's language. Notice the tension in your shoulders, the pace of your breath, the speed of your thoughts. Every one of those is a signal. And every time you slow down, breathe, and realign, you're telling your system, I'm in charge here. In time, calmness becomes your weapon. Not a shield that hides you, but a sword that sharpens you. You move through life differently. You handle conflict with clarity, make decisions with precision, and recover from pain faster. Because your body no longer betrays you, it serves you. That's what it means to train your nervous system to obey you. It's reclaiming sovereignty over yourself. It's saying, no matter what happens around me, I remain the calm in the center of the storm. And when you live that way, nothing can truly shake you. Because calm isn't something you visit, it's something you become. The moment you stop reacting and start observing, the world begins to reveal itself to you. Most people go through life half blind, seeing only what's on the surface, words, expressions, gestures, but missing the layers underneath. Observation is more than looking. It's perceiving. It's the art of reading what isn't being said, hearing what isn't being spoken, and understanding what people truly mean, not just what they say. When you're emotionally detached and calm, you gain the ability to see with precision. You notice patterns others overlook. You sense shifts in energy that others dismiss. You begin to understand people not through their noise, but through their silence. Because silence has a language too. It speaks through micro-expressions, through the hesitation in a sentence, through the tone behind a word. Observation gives you insight, and insight gives you advantage. Whether in relationships, leadership, or conflict, the one who sees more always holds more power. But to see clearly, you have to quiet your own mind first. When your thoughts are loud, you miss the subtle cues around you. When your emotions dominate you, your perception becomes distorted. Only when you're still inside can you truly read what's happening outside. Think of every interaction as a field of information. People constantly reveal who they are, how they move, where their eyes go, what makes them tense, what softens them. Most just don't pay attention. But when you become an observer, you start noticing those signals. You use that confidence has a rhythm. Insecurity has a posture. Deception has a blink. It's all there if you're calm enough to notice. One of the greatest mistakes people make is listening only to reply. They're not hearing. They're waiting for their turn to speak. But true observation means listening without agenda. It means absorbing everything. Words, tone, pauses, even what someone avoids saying. You can learn more from what a person leaves unsaid than from an entire conversation of words. When you stay silent in a discussion, people fill the space. They reveal themselves. They start to over-explain, justify, defend. They tell you their fears without realizing it. That's the power of silence, combined with observation. It draws truth out of people. Because when someone feels seen but not judged, they let their guard down. Observation, when done right, isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding. Imagine sitting across from someone in conflict.